back for layer H. Now I know that I just said in the last session that doing that white was my favorite layer, but you know what? This coming up is also my favorite layer. Now, quick explanation. If you're following with me, pay close attention. Many times, I will do an acrylic glaze on top of my white and then come back and do more white on top of that. So in other words, many times I'll add another 2 layers of acrylic. I always end with white, however. So if I were to do a glaze on this, then I would come back and do, of any color whatsoever, I would come back and do white. But this particular painting, the way it's going right now, and I didn't realize this till after I was done with the last layer, this particular painting is not in need of that additional layer. So the last thing I did was white, and I'm ready to go right away to the oil glazes. So here we go. Let me show you my palette really quickly. I use a glass palette most of the time, and if you want to know what colors I usually use on my palette, then do you remember it? If you want to know what colors I usually use, then by all means, you're on YouTube already, do a search for Dan Nelson Not Limited Palette, because there's a very famous thing, and I've done a limited palette video as well, but look for one that says Not Limited Palette, okay? So I've got 2 brushes. I'm using Liquin. Again, for those of you who may not know what Liquin is, Liquin Original. It's a little bit smelly. That's my only complaint about Liquin. But other than that, I love it. What colors to use in the glaze is always a good question. You know what? I don't have a permanent rose out here. Sorry. I just looked at my palette and said, wait a minute. I want to do some permanent rose, and I don't have any. So bear with me just for a minute while I rummage through my drawer looking for, I hope, all kinds of things. Here it is, permanent rose. This one happens to be made by Winsor Newton. You can't read that, sorry. Okay, so I'm going to add that. The colors that you use when you switch from acrylics to oils, you can use any colors in this glaze, any colors you want. And remember that the acrylic is completely impervious to whatever I put on top of it. In other words, you could put something on here, and if you end up not liking it, you just take a rag, dip it in Turpenoid or Gamsol, whatever it is you're using, and wipe it completely off. I mean, I don't think I've ever done that. I must have done it at least once. So, for some reason, I had, as I looked at this, I had a hankering. Do you know that language? I had a hankering to do some rose. So that's what I'm doing. Do a little bit more. Now, please, again, understand, this is not going to stay this way, right? And the next thing, do I rinse these off? Do I clean them? Yeah, I'm going to clean them a little bit, just on some dry rags. They don't need to be completely clean, but I'm going to wipe the brushes off on dry rags. And now I'm going to pick up Indian yellow. And I'm going to do a vigorous brushing of Indian yellow, especially over this midsection, and some of that same up here. So again, this is what I meant when I said, don't worry, this is not going to stay. You could do any number of colors. There's no limit. You can do 17 different colors if that strikes your fancy. Doesn't matter a bit. You just keep brushing stuff on till you think it looks good. Or wipe it off if you don't like it. Now, believe it or not, I'm going to use some oxide red, which is brown. It's a brown color. Called oxide red, but it's brown. You understand that, right? And it's actually a very orange-y brown, and often makes a really good color for glazing. And down here, again, I'm going to wipe off my brushes, not clean them thoroughly, just wipe them on a dry rag. I'll throw that rag out in just a minute. And here in the foreground, I'm going to do ultramarine blue. Okay? And if I do it down there, I'm going to do it elsewhere as well. Yeah. How do I know how to do the buildings? I have these photographs right here. Do you see those pictures? That's what I'm looking at. That helps me know what to paint.
But how can you do like that stuff when you're painting?
I practice.
It's really hard for me.
Yeah. Well, that's because you're only 4. That's right. You'll get better at it as you practice. No doubt about that.
I'm going to be better than you.
Yeah, by the time you're 5, you go, girl. I hope it's true. Okay, so this is Lake, by the way. Okay, since Lake's talking so much, wave, say hi, Lake. Lake is 4, and she's going to grow up to be an artist and an opera singer. Most of the time, that's what she says. And both are certainly possibilities. Her mom is an excellent singer. Isn't she, Lake? Yeah, she's a very good singer. Okay, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm done with these 2 big brushes. Going to get out a smaller one and come back in here with this, well, let me think. Yeah, I'm going to use Indian yellow. That's right. Did you see me dip my brush in Indian yellow? Well, you're a funny girl. Pretty sharp girl. So I'm wiping off some stuff here, and that's the rag I was using to clean my brushes. And I'm going to come in here with Indian yellow and orange. So did you catch that? You can wipe stuff off. You can.
Indian yellow.
Yep.
Do you have kids Indian yellow?
Nope, I don't. Okay, what do you think of that, Lake? Am I just about done with this layer? I think so. Yeah, just about done with this layer, and then I move on to the next one. I think so. Pretty close. More blue down here, back and forth. Blue, orange, blue. Okay, now, before we go, the next thing I typically do after a glaze is come back and paint with a rag. And just anywhere where I really want to start sending the painting toward a really light, bright tone, I come in and wipe off with a rag, which is pretty much all these highlight areas, right? And now that I did that, I'm deciding I'm going to go back in the sky yet one more time, drying off this brush, tiny bit of turpenoid, shiny spots, because there's a lot of going to be cars. I'm going to paint cars. Yep.
Can you draw cars?
I can, yep.
Cars.
Well, it's not time yet to do cars.
Cars?
Okay, it's not time yet. So as you can see here, I'm actually, painting back. After I wiped off some stuff, I decided I didn't like it quite that light, so I'm coming back. Okay, I think I'm happy now. So that's it. That's the oil glaze layer. I say that's it, and then I say, wait a minute. Okay, maybe that's it. Plus, after I turn off the camera, who knows? I might do some more when you're not looking. But anyway, I think that's it. That's the oil glaze layer. And I'll be back in a few minutes with the next layer. Thanks for watching.